I happened to be wandering through a marina at Royal Cape Yacht Club in Cape Town, and I saw the boat that I ended up sailing, Ola Anna, and she was sitting on the mooring, and I thought, wow, that's a really pretty boat. And when I did a little bit of research about her, I realized that she'd been in the previous race, the 2018 race, and I then understood the story behind her, and I thought, well, I reckon if I could get hold of that boat, I'd be able to take her around and do the race. It was as close probably to a spur of the moment decision as I've ever come. So I went to the guy who'd bought her and done the repair job on her and offered to buy it, and he said no, and I continued to badger him for about 3 weeks until he eventually said yes. And by that stage I'd kind of convinced myself that I was committed, and it just went from there. It was overwhelming, just the sheer number of people, and you want to show some appreciation for their support, but it's really difficult to do for such an extended period and to so many people. It was wonderful, but for me it was a little bit overwhelming. We were very much trying to keep station with the boat ahead and the boat behind. I didn't really have the freedom to just immerse myself in the moment. At that stage, all the boats are really close together, and just making sure that you're not in a position where you're going to conflict with other boats or get too close to them. So it was a case of finding a lane to follow.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
And that start gun went, it was just like, wow, I can now relax. Just getting into a routine and finding a rhythm. It's a very long, extended period of intense concentration, loads and loads of boredom interspaced with moments of sheer terror.
This is the last lighthouse before Cape Finisterre. So rather beautiful. Sailing in close here just to stay out of the current and maybe pick up the odd lift or two. It's been sadly lacking. The wind is also really patchy offshore, so it's a little bit stronger in here. There's a slight problem that I don't know if you'll see it in the sunlight, but in the distance over there is Cape Finisterre, and it's just disappeared into the fog. So it's going to be a rounding without a recording, I'm afraid. Won't see any of that.
I did a lot of reading, quite a bit of writing. Navigation was wonderful. It was great. It was a great distraction, using sextants and becoming more and more proficient at it as I went along.
By and large, I've always found mariners to be really respectful of each other, and when people complain about ships not responding to them or ignoring them, I find that to be seldom the case, and it obviously helps to have AIS and be able to identify the ship and call it by name. But even in our case, where we need to appeal to an unknown or unnamed ship, I find that without fail, the respondents are always courteous and accommodating. This ship changed course by 20 degrees to pass behind me when he heard that I was in a race. He couldn't expect me to change my course. So, yeah, they're good people out there.
I had felt the need to distance myself a little bit from society as I was experiencing it, and it certainly did that for me.
Welcome to Monday. This is where the barometer has dropped through 1,000 millibars. Sea state has got pretty awful. I'm down to 2 reefs in the main with a tiny little bit of jib. Battling really to make headway into this sea. It's just not that pleasant. Not a lot we can do about it though. Just it's here with us for at least another 12 to 24 hours. We just got to keep on keeping on. Hopefully I don't end up third week. That would be scary stuff. I actually don't think I'd be able to make any forward progress at all. But let's see, it might come to that.
But yeah, a lot of reflection on life, and just a lot of staring into the distance. It was wonderful to have the freedom to just be able to do that and to bring oneself to a calm place in a very busy planet.
Down below, everything's kind of neatish. Not too tidy, not too damp. Making an effort to keep it that way. Ellen driving valiantly, thank goodness. I wouldn't want to be out there. And I forgot to mention as well, it's raining on top of all of this, so quite a gloomy kind of day. In terms of navigation, well, I don't think any of us have seen the sun for quite a while now. Fortunately, we've seen a bit of shipping and been able to get GPS coordinates from the ships. Got a rough idea where I am. I think I'm in a better position than some of the guys who haven't literally, I guess since they left Biscay, haven't had any idea of where they are. First day of decent downwind sailing I've had since the 4th of September. Today is the 15th.
I knew that the people important to me were following the race, and so I was there with them in spirit, if not in person. The fact that I couldn't really, just at a whim pick up a phone and speak to someone took a little bit of getting used to. I think we've all become slaves to digital existences, but it was nice to have that disconnect as well.
Big old ocean out there. Haven't seen anybody else for 2 days, 3 days, except for a ship this morning.
Those various points where you end up suddenly seeing a lot of people, I found quite jarring. And the first one being Lanzarote, it was like 13 or 14 days into the race, and that was one of the most difficult moments because I just got into the rhythm of not having people around, not interacting with people, and suddenly it was like this. It's just you. I was immersed in it again, but it got easier as we went along.
Yeah, we've been following on the tracker, but everything looks good. You happy?
Yeah.
Good to be here. Like the flat water.
It's better than bumpy water.
Anyway, we'll see. Tougher breeze, still only about 10 to 15 knots. It'll be more 10 than 15. Okay.
Multi-use plastic, huh?
Yeah. How would you describe your Bay of Biscay experience?
The third time unlucky. I've had 2 fantastic crossings, and then the third one was awful.
Yeah,
I mean, they were equal amounts of. I had 39 hours where I didn't move at more than 1 knot.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of days where we were just slamming into the most unbelievable sea.
Yeah.
So it wasn't ideal, but it was. Everybody had the same options. Huh?
You made reasonably good times again. Everyone did pretty well. Everyone hated it, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Oh, we've been catching any fish or trying to?
I did, but then my watch and see generator took over and sliced the line before I could get the fish aboard. So,
So no leaks.
yeah, a few little just trips, nothing serious. I mean, and if that was the worst Biscay could throw at us, then it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're missing at the moment?
Fresh fruit.
Fresh food?
I had fruit on board for well over a month, and then I told you the other day, it ripened all on the same day. I think it had been frozen, and just suddenly it started melting, and I had to throw away 2 bags of apples and 2 bags of oranges.
Sans doute les deux demain. Et ensuite le dernier groupe avec une tête pour demain.
28 degrees, 44 minutes, 364. Yeah, I'm on the rocks. I'm lifting 45 degrees. The boat is being pounded on its port side.
Well, I picked up on the rescue activity on VHF radio because I was just on the other side of the island at the time, and I thought I was hearing things. It was all happening in Spanish mainly, and as I heard more and more often, they were calling the boat Spirit, and I realized that had to be Guy, and then I heard him calling, and I heard Kirsten talking to him, and I realized that something had gone badly wrong. It was a real game changer, and I just found myself, the boat just started feeling more and more and more sluggish, and I just couldn't understand what it was. And I thought, well, maybe there's not a lot of wind, but then guys that I'd been sailing in company with just slowly just started pulling away from me, and I thought, there's something definitely wrong here. And in a particularly calm patch, I hopped over the side and had a look, and what I saw just gutted me. I mean, it was about 80% of the underside of the boat was covered in, at that stage, they were 4 or 5 centimeter barnacles, and it was awful. So over the next, that was just near the Cape Verde Islands, and I spent about 6 hours that day under the boat, scraping them off, thinking that I'd now solved the problem, and literally 10 to 12 days later, I started slowing down again, and they'd come back again. I haven't managed to do enough research to know why they came back, or if it was a continuation of the first episode, or if it was a second scenario. So I spent about another 4 hours under the boat near Il Trinidade off the Brazilian coast. Got rid of those, and then had the same thing recur near Tristan da Cunha, but the water was too cold and bumpy. I couldn't spend more than an hour underwater. It was just getting overwhelming. So.
Alors Don est occupé, comme d'habitude, il lance le live et puis il discute. Alors celui que vous voyez en face de vous, tout de suite, enfin, alors que nous l'attendons depuis des heures, c'est sans aucune communication. Et ses amis sont bien contents de le voir enfin arriver ici.
Hey, he'll be keen to get around the corner. He's going to go around to Simonstown, I think it is, which is his hometown, to work on the barnacles. Good to see you, eh? Yeah. So I can't see many barnacles. You must have dived already.
I did. I got under on Monday.
Yeah.
And I spent about nearly 2 hours under.
Yeah.
I only got about a third of them.
Yeah.
So there's a hell of a lot more.
Yeah. What about the water? What's the situation with your drinking water?
I have less than I would like to have.
Yeah.
I've got enough to get to Australia, but if I don't catch along the way, I'm not going into the Pacific.
Yeah.
How do you feel to see all these people?
It's wonderful, but it's going to be very, very hard to sail away. Yeah.
See you in Hobart, Jeremy.
Cheers.
Yeah, yeah.
See you in Hobart.
Yep.
Yeah. Je ne fais pas de traduction en français, vous avez compris. C'est un homme heureux qui passe avec Oleana ce soir à Cape Town. À très bientôt ici. Bye bye.
That prompted the decision to pull into Cape Town, tie up to a mooring buoy outside the marina, and spend a day underneath it, trying to get rid of them for once and for all. And then, yeah, unfortunately, that didn't work either. By the time I got halfway across the southern Indian Ocean, they were back and more and thicker and longer and bigger than ever.
Okay, Jeremy, what's your first impression?
My first impression is it's a lot worse than I was able to establish by just sticking my head over the side and having a look. But in a way, I'm kind of relieved that it is as bad as it is, because I was having serious doubts about my sailing ability. I thought, I'm really just sailing really, really badly and really slowly, but I can see why we were so slow. I don't know the technical terms, but we seem to have a couple of different varieties. We've got these little blue mussels, we've got the gooseneck barnacles, and in between them, I think you identified a couple of different species that we got here, and it's just unbelievable how they've propagated since Cape Town. I mean, in Simonstown, I dived the boat. It took me 6-7 hours, but I got every single one off. But I didn't manage to get the little this calcium kind of piece off. That was just beyond my ability as a free diver to get these bits off. And I wonder if somehow that hasn't led to the regrowth of the barnacles. There was actually no way I was going to get across the Pacific with this lot on the
It's going to look at the bow. I mean, we'll shoot back from the bow because it is really substantial. It's quite crazy considering it was only we worked out about 7 weeks or something.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these clumps, like they're just stick your hand beside that one.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know if I can. You can't even pull it. I can't even pull it off by hand. They have to be scraped off.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah,
absolutely chock-a-block.
Here we are, due south of South Island, New Zealand, 190 something miles from Snares Island. Just a quick look around inside. Everything may look nice and neat and tidy, and it is tidy. It's also very damp. Everything is damp. We've had so much water coming over the deck that it's forced its way down around the mast collar, and then it comes out in the ceiling in various places, namely over my bunk, that side. Not so much that side, and the occasional wave comes out and jumps down the companionway and ends up on the chart table and the chart table seat. So pretty much everything is damp. South. Got some fairly boisterous conditions. Anna's enjoying it. Got about a 30 knot southwesterly. Quite big swells coming in. Perfect. Thank you for seem to be quite at home with the other species, which I'm not sure what it is. It's beautiful. Here we are in the middle of the South Pacific, or it's not quite the middle, another about 100 odd miles to go to what they call Point Nemo, which is a point on the planet furthest from any inhabited landmass or any people. As we often told, the closest people to Point Nemo are the astronauts in the space station. I'm not going outside to record this. It's too cold and wet. But hopefully we can get an idea of what it's all about. I'm in the greenhouse behind my little plastic tent. And Ellen's doing all the hard work. Got about 35 to 40 knots. What I would do without this wind vane self-steering, I don't know.
I was never distressed or in anything or anxious. It was I was lucky my boat handles it extremely well, and the setup that I had, and I think obviously maybe the tactics that I employed worked very well for me, and so yeah, it was more annoying than anything else. It was because inevitably you're not making the progress that you'd like to be because of, yeah.
As I was getting out of the companionway, a big wave smashed into the spray dodger and completely trashed it, and half the wave found its way down below onto my chart table and electrical panel and the galley and everything. So it was a bit of everything was completely soaked down here. It was a bit grim, but managed to put it all back together. It wasn't the end of the world, and but I'm really going to miss my fantastic greenhouse and spray dodger. I mean, they were just one of the best parts of sailing this boat. But now we're back to the old-fashioned way, no spray dodgers, and I just cannot get out of the Southern Ocean fast enough and into some warmer climates. So really looking forward to that. And from the recommended heading north to avoid the storm passing below me, I've just been given an all clear to make as fast as possible time to Cape Horn as I possibly can. The language they used was head for Cape Horn ASAP. Yeah, there we are. Tuesday, 14th of March, 2023. 53 days out of Hobart, and kind of looking as though I should be around Cape Horn fairly soon. Thanks to you all for magnificent support. It's been really absolutely marvelous. To show you it's not all storms every day on board Ola Anna.
You get some pretty settled weather as well. This is what happens when a wave comes aboard and sort of immerses your tin food store. So as you can see, there's it's a bit of a hit and miss. You know, you get a tin like that and you can't tell whether it's spinach, corn, or whatever. Not sure if you can see this, probably not. I'll try and describe it. It's hundreds and hundreds of Portuguese men of war on the surface of the water outside San Miguel Island, off the Azores archipelago. And as the setting sun catches them and glints off it, it looks like bubble wrap. It's an incredible sight.
The last 1,000 miles of my race were probably the worst 1,000 miles I've ever sailed. From getting to the Azores to San Miguel, I thought I've only 1,100 miles to go. That's I would have said 10 days at the absolute outside, and it ended up taking me 24. I just had consistent headwinds and seas, unforgiving and obstreperous seas, and then I had suffered a bit of damage to my rig, and that slowed me down even more. And then coming into the last 200 miles, I had very, very little wind at all, and it wasn't. But you don't sail 31,200 miles and then give up on the last 800. I mean, there would be no point in that. It was tempting, but it just simply wouldn't have made sense, and I would have berated myself if I had.
Here we have the welcoming committee. I'm not really sure how I feel. A bit of relief, a bit of excitement, a bit of sadness. It's been a hell of a 9 months, I must say. All in all, a very positive and good experience. Learned a lot about myself. Had to exercise an incredible amount of patience. Come to terms with a lot of humility in the face of forces greater than humans.
One learns things about yourself that maybe you either hadn't, that I hadn't admitted about myself before or wasn't aware of. And I think I'm more aware of myself now than I was when I started, but essentially I think I'm pretty much the same person.
There's only about 220 people who've done it, and if you want to take on the toughest challenge there is, that's it.
The Sunday Times Golden Globe will be awarded to the first non-stop circumnavigator of the world.
I can remember someone coming up to me and saying, "You, this Johnny who thinks he can sail solo non-stop around the world." And I said, "Well, I'm going to try it."
It was the first ever round the world yacht race.
You know, out of the 9 entries, only 1 finish.
But to rerun it under the same conditions makes it very, very interesting. So you're really going back in time.
It's not something you do with your mind at this point. You do with your heart and you just try with yourself.
This is the longest sport event in sport history. If anyone ever says this is ridiculous, he's being reckless, I'd just say, sorry, he's not. He's being a real seaman.
There'll be people that will say, oh, the boats aren't safe. Do you have to spend $1 million to buy a 60-footer that does all this fancy stuff? Does the little guy not go? There's no way.
The race has held that appeal because these grand authors made it sound really attainable.
We're putting in half of everything we own in this race, and it'd be nice to have something left at the end.
Miss! Just look at the devastation. Single-handed sailors that don't obey rules, so it's a recipe for disaster.
Don't come in. I can't make a jury rig. The only thing that's left is a hole.
I was just praying somebody would get there before I would.
I never thought I was going to see him again.
We started with 18 and we're now down to 7. So you're still having fun then?
Not to come here, it's very difficult.
We don't need millions, to do sailboat racing. We don't need all that modern technology to fulfill a dream.
I'm not going to be comfortable, but I'm going to do it.
He hasn't given up, that's the bottom line.